From Nutrien Ag Solutions, this is Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your Canadian Prairie weather story for Monday, March 22nd, 2021. We'll get the satellite picture going here, infrared satellite, so we're looking at the cloud top temperatures across North America. We do have some activity ongoing across the Canadian Prairie, transitioning from a quiet pattern to a slightly less than quiet pattern here. As we head through the next 7 days, we do have some opportunities for some precipitation across the region. Again, some of that happening already. We've got some light snow showers here, kind of between Saskatoon and Brandon, so southeastern Saskatchewan, seeing some light snow here. We've got some scattered light snow being picked up here, kind of between Grand Prairie and Edmonton, off into north central portions of Saskatchewan as well. And as we take a look at the NAM model, we've got this opportunity here as we go through the next 24 hours for some light precipitation. We've got another opportunity here as we get toward the later part of the week, and then potentially a bigger storm system coming in over the weekend. So the high-resolution NAM model will still take us through mid to late week. We'll go ahead and stop this and go through time with it. Again, as we head through the day today, just light opportunities for some scattered snowfall across the region as this little disturbance slides off from west to east across the region. Much of the upper-level energy confined to the central and southern plains of the United States here. So again, we're kind of, getting some opportunities for some precip up here, but it's not going to be quite that focused, and we're not looking at, anywhere is not going to get, buried over the next 24 to 48 hours by snow. But the opportunities exist, and it's certainly more than we've seen over the last week or two. We'll take this a little further, then getting into a probably pretty quiet Tuesday, a pretty quiet Wednesday, but as we get into Wednesday night and Thursday, we get our next storm system kind of swinging through the region here. So another opportunity for some accumulating snow across the region, perhaps maybe mixing with rain at times. We are still a little bit mild here as we head through the week. Really, as we look at the total accumulated snowfall forecast verbatim from the North American model here, this is 7 a.m. Monday through 7 p.m. Thursday. You see the disorganized, scattered nature to the snowfall here, where certainly someone could pick up 5 to 10 centimeters, maybe a little bit more. A lot of people not going to pick up anything at all, though. Or very light amounts of snow here. So opportunities for snow, opportunities for accumulating snow, but more often than not, or more folks than not, are going to see, lighter snowfall totals. Let's go ahead and jump ahead here. Let's look at the precipitation accumulation by type. And what I've got is the NAM model, which we just looked at over on the left, and then the European model right here in the center. And again, you see pretty good agreement on the overall forecast, which is scattered amounts, generally between 5 to 10 centimeters, maybe locally higher. A lot of folks going to end up with less than that as well. And both models agree here that some of that precipitation at times could mix in with some rain, especially across southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan. Now here's the very messy, very complicated jet stream pattern we have across North America, and what makes for such an uncertain forecast and relatively disorganized, unevenly distributed precipitation across the prairie. Now as we head through the next few days, much of the upper level support really, again, confined to the southern and central United States. We've got a trough here that's just kicking storm systems through the region. We've had, last week had a lot of precipitation in this region. This coming week we'll have a lot of precipitation in this region. We're already getting, our spring severe weather going here across this region as well. So that's where much of the focused upper level energy is. But we've got this split flow in the Pacific such that we're still getting a northern branch that's swinging through the prairie here with little systems embedded within that flow. It just doesn't have that much moisture to work with, and it's lacking comparatively to the southern branch here as far as upper level support goes, and the ability to really focus these storm systems here and give us real concentrated precipitation. So let's hit play on this. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see the big storm systems evolving here. Meanwhile, we're still getting shots of flow here until we get into the weekend and then potentially next week when we see things kind of reorganize, at least temporarily, where the flow begins to quiet down here, and then we get some, more amplified flow moving from the North Pacific into the prairie. Right there, you're seeing it. So what happens? Well, we'll look at the precipitation forecast again across North America, and over the next 4 to 5 days, much of it going to be confined to the central and southern United States. Of course, we're talking about Canada though, right now, of course. So look at the prairie. Here's your disorganized storm system right now that's bringing again, uneven, light snow to the region. Meanwhile, we've got this big storm system cranking across the central and southern U.S. We'll get into mid to late week. We've got the same thing going on. Another system sneaks in here, moving into Alberta. Again, as we get to, the later part of the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night, we'll see the system sneak from kind of northwest to south east. I guess it kind of lifts there at the end, so we'll call it west to east across the prairie, bringing another opportunity for folks to pick up a few centimeters, maybe 5 to 10 centimeters of snow on the high end there. This one lifts out of the region on Friday. Again, you saw another storm system, though, across the southern U.S., maybe another severe weather outbreak in the southern U.S. as we go through that Thursday time frame. So again, activity in the prairie, but paling in comparison to what we've got in the central and southern U.S. Now, the tables turn as we get into the weekend and into next week, potentially. Now things quiet down. We've got high pressure sliding in across at least the western and central portions of the U.S. And with the amplified flow in the north, now we're seeing the advertised development of a much more robust storm system across the prairie as we get into Monday of next week. So we're looking 7 days out into the future. So we're getting into kind of that 50-50 shot here as it comes down to specifics across any specific region. So low confidence here, and I'll show you side by side. The GFS and the European model both agree on the existence of this storm system. The GFS, though, which is on the right, put a G over here and an E for the European on the left. Look at the time here, because I've landed up so the storm system is in the same place, but the times are not the same. So this, on the left, we're looking at the European model, noon on Monday next week. On the GFS on the right, we're looking at noon on Sunday next week. So the European model, slower and stronger with the storm system potentially late next weekend, early next week. The GFS, faster and weaker. What that means? Well, for starters, winds. This would create a lot less, windy conditions across the prairie. It's going to have a lot less focused precipitation. It's going to draw less warm, humid air northward into it as well. So this does have high impacts on the disruptive nature to the storm system. So it's something we'll watch as we head through the next week. But the suggestion is clear that the pattern, at least, temporarily late this weekend into early next week, is going to swap such that we've got some pretty strong flow coming up and over the top of this ridge in the North Pacific. We've got a trough in Alaska and in the Aleutian Islands. So we've got strong flow then, coming into this region. So if we're going to get some heavier precipitation, that's how we would get it done. And that would be when we would get it done. Again, late this weekend into early next week. If you hear that noise in the background, we've got the sump pump in my basement running nonstop. Again, because we've got a lot of rain here in the Midwest of the United States here. So dealing with some water in the basement and the sump pump doing its best to pump it away, but it is noisy every minute or so. So here's the next 5 days. Total precipitation on the left, total snowfall on the right. And again, you see the disorganized nature to the storm systems here today, and then mid to late week, late Wednesday into Thursday. Drier as you head off toward the north, wetter as you head off toward the north across Saskatchewan and Alberta. Drier as you head into southern portions of Saskatchewan and Alberta. And then we've also kind of got this dry, little hole here across southern portions of Alberta where the snow may be a little bit less focused, and perhaps some of that precipitation falls as rain as well across this area. So let's look at the jet stream evolution. This is the pattern over the next 5 days, and then on the right, we've got your height anomalies as we head through next week. And you see the shift again, as we head through the rest of this week. We've got this big trough in the southwest U.S., strong southwesterly flow across the region, tapping into the Gulf of Mexico. This is where the activity will be as far as organized heavy precipitation goes. As we head into next week, now we've got this strong flow coming across the North Pacific. Not not seeing a big trough develop across the region, but faster flow here. It's going to have embedded storm systems, embedded jet streaks, what we would call there, moving through the region. So little disturbances embedded within that fast flow moving over the region. That's going to give us opportunities for precipitation next week across the prairie, but at a week out plus, my confidence is not quite there as far as being able to tell you what days to watch out for the more significant precipitation. I just can tell you next week could be a little bit more bumpy compared to this week, and then certainly compared to last week. Not a lot more to be garnered from the ensemble picture even. We're looking at the next week of precipitation. So here's week 1. And then, here, get you a number there. 1 is what that is. Here's week 2 on the right. And again, just, we got fast flow across the region. The ensemble is picking up on near average opportunities for precipitation, but again, is not giving you much detail on, who might see the most, when we might see the most. It just simply says pretty much average chances for precip across the region. So not a lot of detail, unfortunately, really, to be able to be pulled from the week 2 forecast picture at this point, other than we're going to have some stronger flow pushing into the region. I think there will be storm systems embedded within that. I think we're going to get our opportunities for some windy, conditions as storms move through the region, opportunities for precipitation, potentially more focused at times. And then often we get temperature roller coasters along with this too. We'll get strong southerly flow in advance of some of these disturbances, maybe a shot of cooler air coming in on the backside. So heading into next week, maybe a bit of a day-to-day temperature variations could be something we're looking at as well. Overall, looking at keeping things pretty mild, no real cold air to be tapped into, and neither pattern this week, where we're talking about ridging and then troughing in the western United States, or this faster kind of northwest to southeast flow with this temperature alignment and no real, Arctic air to be tapped into across this region. We're going to have trouble really trending super cold at all over the next couple of weeks. So temperatures probably leaning mild over the next 2 weeks, although, of course, we could still see opportunities for cooler shots of air as we head through the next 1 to 2 weeks. So here's a look at your temperature forecast then over the next 10 days, your highs and lows. Calgary, again, keeping things on the mild side. Medicine Hat, similar look here, highs between 10 to 15 degrees. Most days, they're a cool shot on Thursday. Again, maybe use some skepticism as we get deeper into next week here, as things are a little bit less certain when it comes to the specifics. We'll finish up here Regina, Saskatoon, and Manitoba. That's going to do it for us. So I will speak to you again on Monday, but be checking back to the Canadian Prairie forecast section of the Weather Story portal for those updates on potentially a disruptive pattern as we head into the end of the weekend and early next week. Hope you had a wonderful weekend, you have a wonderful Monday, and a great week.